Yo, YouTube, what's up with your boy? Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm back, guys. Click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. Ladies and gentlemen, on my channel, I'm always telling you guys, live an active lifestyle. Make smart nutritional choices. Move more and sit less, guys. Fight against the laziness. Right? It's not about perfection, but about consistency. It's not about what you look like in the mirror, but about how you feel, ladies and gentlemen, right? And I've talked to you guys on this channel, and I've told you guys that health and fitness, guys, is never going to be easy, right? It's a lifestyle. It's a lifelong journey. That's why I tell you guys to enjoy the journey, right? It's never going to be easy. What happens, it becomes easier, but it's never going to be easy. That's why many people don't do this stuff. It's not a mistake or, an accident or just a coincidence that we look like hell in society now and people have gotten lazier and lazier because the world, life has gotten more convenient, more comfortable, which in turn has made us more lazy, ladies and gentlemen, right? The comfort and convenience, I've told you, is the cousin of laziness. So when we talk about, these kinds of things and we're talking about fighting against the laziness, ladies and gentlemen, remember, when it comes to health and fitness, you get what you put in. So I've talked to you guys about people going to the gym. So people will say, yeah, I go to the gym, I work out, I go to the gym. But then when you see them in the actual gym, they're not doing a damn thing. They're sitting down every chance they get. They're on their phone, right? They're doing lazy workouts. So yeah, you might technically go to the gym, but are you really working out? Are you really getting fit? I don't think you are. A lot of people are doing the same nonsense. Like I said, they're doing a lot of these easy exercises. They fall into a lazy man's routine in the gym. So in their mind, they're going to the gym, but in reality, they're not doing anything in the gym. They're doing all the easy exercises, the ones that they like to do. That's not going to help you become more fit, ladies and gentlemen. All right? So you get what you put in when it comes to health and fitness. The harder you work, the more you're going to get in return. I told you, when you think about something like burpees, for example, it's a basic, simple move. But the harder you do it, right, the more intense that you do the burpees, the more you're going to get from it. If you do lazy burpees, you're going to get lazy results. The harder you do those things, the more effort you give, the more gusto you move with, the better and better results you're going to get from these burpees, from a lot of these exercises. So remember, when it comes to health and fitness, you get what you put in, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that's as basic as I can put it for you. Like I said, if you're going to do lazy workouts, if you're going to be half-assing stuff, if you're not going to give the full effort, right, if you're not going to really try, then you're not going to get the results you want. A lot of people are looking for the results, but they won't give the effort. And then they'll come to me and be like, oh, I feel like I haven't seen any results, or I haven't done this or nothing that, or I feel like I'm not getting stronger, right? And they've only been exercising for a couple of weeks. I've been exercising and doing this stuff for over 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. This stuff doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen in 6 months or a year. It takes time to build up a routine, to get a base, to have this stuff, man. You can't just do this stuff overnight, and you're only going to get what you put in. So if you do seasonal workouts, you only exercise in the summertime, then you're going to look like you only exercise in the summertime, and you're going to move like you only exercise in the summertime. You're going to feel like you only exercise in the summertime. You're not going to look and feel and move like the people who do this continuously, right, for their lives. You're just not going to look like those people. You're not going to feel and move like those people, ladies and gentlemen. So what you get in or what you put in is what you're going to get out. It's similar to the military. You guys know I served in the military for 4 years in the U.S. Navy. And sometimes people ask me questions about the military service. Young people sometimes ask me, should they join the military? What's my pins on the military? How was my time in the military? And I tell people, man, everyone's time in the military is different, right? There's different branches of military service, the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Coast Guard, the Air Force, right? There's different kinds of branches of the military service. There's different jobs in the military, right? There are different conditions of which under we serve. We all serve under different conditions. However, the things about the military that remains the same across the board, no matter what it is you're doing, no matter what branch of service you're in, is you get what you put into the military. So if you give that effort, you put into the military, you're going to get back from the military. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen. To me, that's what it always seemed to be. You get what you put in. And it's the same thing when it comes to health and fitness, ladies and gentlemen. You get what you put into this stuff. So if you half-ass it, you're going to get half-ass results. But like I said, if you give it your all, you give the effort, then you're going to see the results that you want to see, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you right now, it goes hand in hand. But remember, you can't have one without the other. You can't do exercises but not make a smart nutritional choice. You can't make a smart nutritional choice and then not do exercises, right? Or movement or be lazy, right? It can't have one without the other. They must be hand in hand. Everything works in synergy, right, ladies and gentlemen? So remember, that's the key, ladies and gentlemen, to this stuff. The synergy, and what you put in is what you're going to get.